Neal Emery, thank you very much for talking with us on Talk Beliefs. You run the Reason Coffee Shop and Bookstore here in Watford, Hertfordshire, and it's kind of a hub for rationalism, humanism, and critical thinking. Tell us a bit about how you got the idea for the shop and also some of the things you do for the local community and about the groups who meet here.
Hi, thanks for having us. So the idea behind it was I'd been sort of moaning to friends and family for years about what was wrong with the world. How we're not fighting climate change, how we're not tackling dogma as we should around the world, and problem was I was suffering from depression at the time, and I really wasn't doing much with my life, but I went on a really good course, got that sorted out, and so I thought, well, rather than just talking about it, I better stump up and do something, and the idea was to get people to think. So how do you get people to think? Books. They need to read more books, and thought, where do you need books? Sit down in a coffee store, read books, and maybe get talking to some people. So that's how this came about. Yeah. So you asked about sort of groups we like. So for me, climate change is a massive issue. Yeah, it's the number one issue, and so we support any environmental groups, so like the Green Party meet here, but then social justice groups as well, like Amnesty International, Watford Humanists meet here. Yeah. Anyone who's into like community building, environmentalism or social justice, they're welcome to meet here. We give them a high street presence, so they then can hopefully find more members to increase what they're trying to do locally. And you pay it forward to the homeless of the community as well, don't you? Yeah, we run a pay it forward scheme, so people can come in and they can pay it forward a coffee, and a homeless person can come in and collect that coffee, and plus when it's cold we always hand out teas and that to try to help them out as well. Yeah, that's great. You're a humanist and an advocate of evidence-based policies, chiefly green issues. I know you've had a few Christians as well as people from other faiths come in here and preach to you, but what's your view on theists and things like faith schools and how they regard green issues and climate change? Yes, I've had some interesting conversations. There's been some local pastors coming to sort of suss me out, ask me a ton of questions, and so I just answer the questions one after the other. They all seem really confused that we're trying to do good stuff in the community and we're not religious. They don't seem to get that idea that you're just doing it. We've also had proselytizers come in here from other towns to try to save our souls, and they're always interesting conversations, but everyone's welcome in here. We are a humanist shop, as a secular shop, but we get a lot of religious people in here just because they like what we're doing. They like the fact that we're helping the community, so it's a secular shop, everyone's welcome, so yeah, it's cool. Oh, that's excellent. Are there any other kinds of beliefs that affect things like climate change? Yeah, so locally, you was talking about faith schools and that. I just don't agree with faith schools at all. We need a secular education where people are taught that everyone's equal, not this, you're the special ones because it's your type of school. I have a real feeling that religious schools really do harm, because if you're teaching people that there's a thing outside that is going to help, is going to do stuff for you, I honestly believe that breeds learnt helplessness, which is externalization of problems of life, and religion's very, very good at giving you externalization. So there's a God who's going to take care of things, do everything for you. Exactly. And I used to be religious myself, and I know from personal experience that it led to me feeling that way. And even when I lost my religion, I still had this big thing that I wasn't in control, even though I didn't believe in a sort of deity anymore. But having been through the Thrive program that I talked about earlier, it teaches you to internalize and to actually take control of your life. And that's something that religion doesn't really do. So the Thrive program, it actually advocates that control comes from within you, internally, rather than something externally. Yeah. So that's the power of this program. Yeah, it is very powerful, and I do know religious people have been through it and really benefited from it. It doesn't try to preach getting rid of your religion. It's not an atheist course, as it were. But
yeah, once you can learn to internalize stuff that you are in control, you realize you actually have to do something about things, because there is no sky daddy or something going to come and take care of you. And in fact, the evidence does show, if you only have to search the internet, that religious people are less likely to act on climate change, which is it's a real issue. People don't realise how bad climate change is. It's not about polar bears anymore. It's about civilization as we know it. And for anyone who doesn't understand that or hasn't come to that conclusion, go on YouTube, look up things like methane time bomb. It's incredibly serious. A very, very good video that's just come out that needs to be shared far and wide. It's called Wake Up, Freak Out and Get a Grip. It explains exactly how bad things are. But the problem is, apart from just the externalizing, religion has basically been hijacked by the right wing in places like America and that. And even in Britain, that we're opening more religious schools now than we ever have. And what's happening is, because of capitalism, we are not tackling climate change. So somehow, some very intelligent people have managed to use very right-wing policies and tie them in with religion. So you end up with vast swathes of American people not believing in climate change, because basically they've had oil lobbyists take advantage of them. And this is very strange, because when this all started, this neoliberal capitalism, so Thatcherism and Reaganism, Thatcher was very strong about tackling climate change. And even Reagan, he was the one who actually helped solve the ozone layer problem. He believed in taking insurance policies for the futures. What's happened is corporations have been protecting their money so much, they've been lobbying, and it's just got more and more extreme. And unfortunately, because Republicans and conservatism, to an extent in this country, seem to have become very much tied in with religion. Religion has sucked that attitude away, and it has become a real problem, massive problem. Yeah, so obviously not all religious people are climate change deniers, and let's be honest, science deniers, which the other people are. For example, the Pope came out recently and said we have to tackle climate change. So I would very much urge religious people who are keen on tackling climate change to challenge their other religious friends and let them know how serious this is. Everyone's in this together. We're not getting off this planet anytime soon, unless it's in a box. And let's try to fight as much as possible. The problem is, even when someone like the Pope does actually speak up on it, he only does it in half measures, because he still won't advocate using condoms, and that's killing millions of odd people in Africa every year. The fact that he won't do that, which is just terrible. But it's also because he won't tackle the population problem. We have to stop the rise in population if we have any chance of tackling climate change, and even hopefully reverse, so we start to go down a bit. And other religions are the same. Islam is the same. It's spreading through the womb, as they like to say. But we have to challenge this. We have to stop this. We have to bring birth rates down. So that's another way that actually beliefs are causing a huge problem for climate change.
I think recently you bumped into some proselytizers in the high street here, a religious group, a local religious group, who were they had their stand up, and they were talking about their beliefs and everything, and you got into a conversation with them about climate change, didn't you? And what happened there?
Yeah, I do like talking to the proselytizers in the street. It's always good fun. But I've actually recently just tried to get their opinion on climate change, and these were Christadelphians, who are Bible literalists, and it was incredibly worrying, because they said, oh yeah, we recycle in that, but we don't really care, because there's a better planet coming. Now, that's really scary. This is to the extreme. This isn't the religious people who just aren't doing anything because they think there's something else. These are people who actively think we are in end times, and some of them are even like celebrating the fact that climate change is happening because they think it's bringing them closer to their golden era.
Literally signs of the end times when...
Yeah. Which is not true because when they claim signs of end times, they say, look how bad the world's getting. And you only have to look at the facts. The world generally is the best it's ever been for humans. Humans. You look at every single stat, child poverty, death rates, education, crime rates are falling all over the world. Things are getting better and better, but these people don't see that, and they've latched onto climate change as being the final proof that it's happening. So these people are dangerous. They are literally dangerous. I haven't had a chance to tackle them yet, but I'm going to ask them a question. It shocked me so much that I really didn't know what to say at the time. But now I'm going to ask them, because the Bible clearly states that Jesus says he doesn't know when he's going to come back. He's not going to tell people when he's going to come back. It's been 2,000 years. It could be another 2,000. It could be, I don't know, in their eyes, how long it could be. But in that case, if they're not doing anything, they are basically committing mass suicide, because billions and billions of people are going to die because of climate change if we don't get it under control. They are committing mass suicide.
I think it's an excuse just not to do anything, on some level.
The excuse not to do anything, I would agree with the people who have less religiosity. But yeah, with some of the Bible literalists, I think it's much more dangerous than that. I think it's dangerous for society. It's dangerous for them. I'd like to challenge them because obviously suicide is against pretty much every religious book, but not taking on action is mass suicide in effect. So yeah,
it's not just that group; it's a lot of religious groups.
A lot of religious groups, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I think it's safe to say that your philosophy could be summed up in one sentence: doing good without a God. Would that be a correct assessment?
Yeah, definitely. I'm a humanist. All humans have empathy in them, and we see other people. It's in us, and we all see it. You see a sad story on television, read it. We've all got it in us, and we can nurture that. It's much easier to nurture the empathetic good side of human beings than it is to nurture the horrible things that happen around the world, like ISIS and stuff. That actually takes a lot more work to do that. So just do good for good's sake, and if we all do that, if we're all kinder to each other, we have a much better chance of solving the world's problems, including climate change.
And here in Reason you have something called the Kindness Project. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's a kindness project. We just teach people how to internalise kindness. So what we mean by that is, if you give an act of kindness over to someone and you are waiting for their reply to how it makes you feel, if they reply in a positive manner, then your self-esteem goes up. But if they reply in a negative manner, your self-esteem goes down. But if you internalise and just enjoy the act of giving kindness rather than anything else, you're not relying on their reaction. So actually your self-esteem stays high all the time, and when your self-esteem's high, it's amazing what you can achieve. You can go out and do what you want in life and achieve stuff.
The important thing is doing the kind act, isn't it?
It's
not for not even really for self-esteem. It's for the act in itself.
Absolutely. It is just doing the act for the act's sake, and that purely and simple. We do a lot of other stuff. In the shop we like to talk to people about science, and we have a section behind us called Woo Woo. So it's not just religious beliefs that are causing the issues. Anti-science thinking is causing huge issues around the world. So I'm thinking of people like homeopathy, Reiki, anti-vaxxers. This anti-science thinking is gaining a massive foothold around the world. And it's also already causing issues. People on individual levels are getting hurt by this. People have died. People's children have died because they've taken homeopathic remedies rather than actually take their kids to doctors. Even chiropractic, people have died because it's given them strokes when they're having their necks manipulated, and people don't know these facts. Anti-vaxxers, measles is coming back in America, and kids are getting massively ill from measles. That kills people as well. And this is all anti-science, so
it's not evidence or science-based.
No, and so when we're talking about all these people, climate change deniers as well, they're actually science deniers, is what they are. And if we're going to challenge climate change, if we're going to save civilization in any way, shape or form that we recognise, we're going to need science to get us through it. Science is going to be the things that comes up with the new solutions. We have wind turbines, wave power, and that we can do now, which we're not doing anywhere near enough of, but we need to plough a massive amount of money into the sciences to try to come up with new solutions.
Excellent. So, what's the future of the Reason Coffee Shop and Bookstore, and what's coming up?
So I guess our main focus in the next year or so will be just trying to raise awareness about how serious climate change is. Take the UK stats, for example. About 84% of people say man-made climate change is real. So that's encouraging for the UK. But unfortunately, only 15% of those people actually think it's a serious and immediate risk. So it's trying to raise awareness that it is a serious and immediate risk. The fact we have to get rid of neoliberal capitalism, as we've got it to even have a chance of tackling climate change. So Naomi Klein's got a very good film on that, so this changes everything, so look that up. And we've just got a trailer that's just being refurbed, and we're going to get out to fairs and fetes and spread the word of reason and science around the area, and then hopefully start looking for a second venue. So hopefully this will now snowball, and whether we franchise it or what, I don't know, but hopefully we can snowball and get people to start taking action, because once people start taking action, I honestly believe the human race is the most ingenious species that's ever lived. The fact that we can change our environment, and the fact that we've changed it so badly, means we can, if we've got heads to it, fix it. But we have a very, very short time span to do it before we get into runaway global warming. So the focus is in getting people aware and taking action ASAP.
So reason in every town.
Yeah, reason and science in every town.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Neal, for chatting with us, and we look forward to hear more about your good work here in the Reason Coffee Shop Bookstore in the very near future.
Thanks for having us.